Lord, we give you thanks for being able to gather here today on behalf of and to do the work of the people of Boyle County and Junction City and Perryville and Danville. We thank you for the good people in this room and the collective wisdom that you've given them. We thank you, O Lord, for the sunshine that you've given us this day and the change of the seasons, to let us know that things do go around and come around. We ask you for your wisdom, your strength, the knowledge to do the right thing, and the courage to do it. And we ask all this in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you. This time we call a regular meeting of the Danville Boyle County Planning Zoning, September 28, 2022. Call to order. First order of business will be approval of minutes, August 24th, 2022. Special call meeting September 14th, 2022. And special call meeting September 20th, 2022.
And
see
you all
those in your
notice that
packets.
the September 2022 meetings are on your desk in front of you. And thanks to Commissioner Collier, some corrections have been made.
They were minor corrections.
Will you entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Griffin has made a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Collier's got a second. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Financial report.
Yeah, I think we're going to start today by having a review of our financial audit. Today we have Chad Robinson from Kerbal Roads and Butler, and he recently completed our formal audit for our 2021-2022 financial statements. About 3 weeks ago, the Budget Committee, which is Jeff, Rita, and myself, met with Chad for a couple of hours and went through the report in detail. And then about a week ago, all of you should have received an email copy, electronic copy of the audit, asking you to take a look at it and then make a note of any questions you have, because Chad will be here to do a brief overview and answer those questions. And that's the purpose of what Chad will be doing today. He's not going to go through a detailed review of it, just a brief overview of the audit itself, and then open it up and ask any questions as he goes through, and take any questions you may have on the audit results.
So this printed copy is the same
This
as
is
we
the,
received?
yeah, this is the printed copy. It's the same as the electronic copy
Okay.
you received. And while you bring that up, Sam, we would like to have as many of these back as possible if you're not going to take them home, because we're going to be distributing them to the city and the county and Perryville and Junction City. And you all have electronic copies, so unless you're going to take this home, just leave it and we'll collect them and distribute them. Okay, Chad.
Thanks, Terry. As Terry said, my name's Chad Robinson with Kerbal Roads and Butler. And we did the audit, finished a couple weeks ago. We met with the Budget Committee, went over it in detail, went over questions that they had, and explained the financial statements and footnotes in detail. I'm going to be brief in these comments, as Terry said, kind of point out a couple highlights. If you flip to page 1, that is our audit opinion. The format has changed a little bit from prior years. If you're used to seeing the prior years, the opinion is first thing on that audit report. It's about midway down the page. It's a clean opinion. It says that your financial statements are materially correct, which is exactly what you want it to say. If you flip over to page 9, that's the income statement for the commission. Just a brief highlight. Revenues came in at $212,564. Total expenditures, if you look at the first column, that's what I'm going to point out, because that's matches up with your budgeted line items. Your expenditures were $198,706, which left you with a surplus of $13,858. So revenues came in high compared to budget, expenditures came in lower than budget, which you can actually see if you flip over to page 22. That's actually a budgetary comparison. Your revenues were higher than budgeted by $9,259. Your expenditures were less than budgeted by $15,152. So your total surplus compared to budget was $24,411. So excellent on the top line and the bottom line. I'm going to flip over to one last thing for you. On page 30 is the report over internal control. If we notice anything from a control standpoint, we're required to put it into this report. As in prior years, we've communicated that there's a lack of segregation of duties, and that is because there was two, now one employee. And so the proper segregation cannot be obtained. Having McDaniel Wealth Management do their accounting function, having the commission, the budget committee overview financial statements. You have some good secondary controls in place, but that is something that we are required to put into that report. So there's really no recommendation because it doesn't make sense to add additional employees just for that purpose, given the secondary controls you have in place. So just wanted to point that out. That's all I've got, unless you have specific questions on any
Can I
items.
make sure I clarify and understand
Sure.
it? The reason you put the statement in there is because of the guidelines that you are working under says that we meet that criteria, deficiency of internal controls.
Correct.
So, but it's, you're saying that that's fine because we're a very small organization.
Yes, you'd find in most small organizations, especially like this, that's going to be in there. I'd say there's probably in 90% of the audits that we do that there's a lack of segregation of duties because there's just, the organizations are just so small that you can't do it. One person has essentially too many responsibilities to segregate. So
I just wanted to make sure I did read it correctly on the electronic copy, and I see it's here, so that's fine.
yes,
Thank you very much.
if anybody's got any other specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Anybody want to dive into the details of the Kentucky retirement system and reserves?
Oh, my gosh.
Any other questions of Chad?
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Chad.
Okay, well, at this point, well, I'll make one more comment, by the way. If you look at page 9 on the bottom, we talked a little bit about this a couple meetings ago, about how close the McDaniel's final statements might agree with the final audit. And the best comparison I can give you, if you look at page 9, at the bottom of the first column, it says that the end of the year balance was $90,741. That's the audited, and that's what we're going to be using going forward. If you looked at the McDaniel statements from June, year-to-date, that number was $90,851. So there was $110 difference. It was 99.9% in agreement. And so, you know, I'm comfortable with that. And so we do need a motion to accept the audit, approve the audit, and then we can proceed.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the audit as presented.
We have a motion to accept the audit. And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Motion passes unanimously. Chad, thank you very much. Thank you for all your hard work, and thank you for working with us.
Yes, thank you, and we appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Construction sureties.
Actually, we have a motion for just the approval of the standard August
Oh, I'm sorry.
2022
Wait,
financials.
We haven't, okay, let's look at our August financial report.
Yeah, I really don't have any specific comments on August, other than, you know, if you look at your second page where it talks about total income, or total revenue, you know, we're 2 months into the year, that's 17% into the year. We're at 18% of our budgeted revenues, so essentially, even without the city of Danville yet giving us their contribution, we're basically on target for revenues. And then if you go to the second page, where, at the bottom where it says total expenditures, you can see that we're at 13% of total year budgeted expenditures, and again, we're 17% into the year, so bottom line, our revenues are a little above, and our expenditures are a little below. Of course, expenditures are down because we haven't had a director's salary in August. So there's really not much more to comment other than that.
Thank you. Terry, appreciate all your work you do. So we need a motion.
No, thank you for everything that you all do.
Need a motion to accept the financial report?
I make a motion, we accept the financial report as presented.
And Commissioner Sleep seconds. Any further discussion? I think, like to ask the question, I know we discussed this maybe last month. Have you had any communication with the city as far as when we might expect our
Well,
contribution?
I didn't, but Lisa did.
I did. and we never seen
Lisa
it.
It
spoke to the financial director or the financial person?
Actually, Jeannie Allen.
Okay.
But yes, yeah, we
Yes,
got
and
it.
yes, they have made
Thank
their
you.
contribution.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Motion passes unanimously. Subdivision approvals. No,
Construction.
construction sureties. We skipped that again. Okay, Lisa?
I don't have anything to say with, there are no changes from what it was last month. Do you need a motion? There's no changes?
That being the case, there's no need for a motion.
All
All
right,
right.
so just for your information then.
No changes. Subdivision approvals. Looks like we have 3,
Yes, sir.
and we'll be doing the technical review.
We'll be doing preliminary and final approval today in an effort to try and help out with a little bit of the delay that we've had recently in our processing. So first and foremost here, we have Mr. Barry Berger and his wife are purchasing 0.663 acres from Mr. Michael Martin. It leaves 46+ acres in Martin's parent tract. There's no utilities signatures required. It's an existing lot with the residents. It's ag zoned. The surveyor is actually an out-of-town surveyor, and Mr. Berger brought this in himself. I
So-
didn't see any need for any corrections on it.
So they're adding to their 1 acre, not?
Yes, sir. He's adding just a little bitty triangular type
Sure.
piece from Mr. Martin's property that adjoins him. You wanna do all of them or one at a time?
I think we can do them all, don't you?
Okay.
So we'll have, once we go through them all, we'll have 2 votes. We'll have a preliminary vote and a final vote.
Okay, well, if anybody has any suggestions on any of these in the process, please just jump in. Okay, so if nothing on Berger, I'll go to the next. This we have Kelly and Ann Griffith. They are creating 8 tracts from their parent tract of property at the corner of White Oak and Knob Lick in Junction City. The things that I needed on the plat is I need the remainder acreage that's gonna be in the center, the parent tract. And I need utility signatures for the lots. Of course, they're gonna be buildable lots of record. The parcels are R1A, and I didn't have any corrections technically, other than the addition of the utilities and the addition of the information, the remainder parent tract.
So we could only preliminarily approve these then, right?
This will be preliminary and final with the preliminary suggestions once they are completed.
It's a conditional motion.
Any questions, any comment? No? All right.
No.
Lastly, we have William C. Hunley and his wife are creating tract number 15. It's 2.849 acres on Dry Fork. It leaves 82 plus acres in Hunley's parent tract. It's zoned ag. It is a completion of a survey that was started a while back and not finished. I didn't see any technical issues with the property.
Hey, Lisa, up in the top there, the barn, do we know the distance between the barn and the property line? In the top left, like the 11 o'clock position on that line? Should I be concerned over that?
Just from the look of it here,
Yeah.
as to the,
Well, we know barns are just set in.
yeah, but I mean, just from the look of it here, it's quite a distance. That's, would be way more than actual setback would require.
No, I guess I was asking, did the survey note the distance, or is it, did you know how far it is?
Yeah,
Well, that's what
mean, just looking at it,
I have no way to
estimating-
know. Some of the barns are not positioned, they're just put on as reference, and you didn't add the barn to the plot, it was already on the plat, wasn't it? On the original? Okay,
We actually approved this division, like he said, 6 months ago, went through tech review and everything, and then they had a different owner and just removed or changed a little line
yeah, that's at 80.
slightly.
So that's under the 82.5 acres remaining up there?
Yes.
Okay. And I remember Hundley, so going through, but I was just curious, because sometimes buildings get sketched in, they're closer to the boundaries than you would think. That's all I'm saying. And I'm okay if you say it's addressed, I'm fine with that. I've slept overnight, so I tend to forget those things.
It's probably 50 or 60 feet off that side.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I was remiss in telling you all precisely where these lots are located. The Barry Burger property is at 8030 Lebanon Road in Danville. Kelly and Ann Griffins, I think I did say that, that's at the corner of White Oak and Knob Lick in Junction. And then William and Patricia on Dry Fork.
So we can entertain a motion for preliminary approval at any time on these 3 subdivision approvals.
We can do one if you like.
Want to do one at a time?
Yeah, well, no, we can do one
Yeah,
motion.
yeah, do a motion for a
and final
preliminary.
with corrections.
So long as none of them are only receiving preliminary approval. If they're all receiving final, it can all be handled in one motion with the changes as noted. If the chair's more comfortable having it as a preliminary vote and final, that's certainly acceptable.
I'll defer to you, Counselor.
I don't think there's any reason to split it out.
I don't know
Okay.
that there's any reason that we're going to object from preliminary to final, at least I'm not.
Right, as long as we say that the second plat has to be, it's conditioned.
Conditioned upon staff corrections.
We entertain a motion.
So moved.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Ruby to accept the subdivision approvals on a preliminary and final with the conditions so noted.
I make a second for that.
And Commissioner Collier seconds that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, new business, Personnel Committee report, Commissioner Davenport.
So today we are going to talk about the final offer that was made to our candidate for the purposes of those who are with us who have not been a part of the executive sessions to discuss our processes. After Steve Hunter put in his resignation, we began a process through the Personnel Committee to develop a recruitment committee. The Personnel Committee includes Jeff and Steve and Jim, and I was added to it, as was Tom, to make the recruitment committee a bit more robust than the 3 members of the Personnel Committee. We went through a process of advertising for the position in sites that people who are prepared in planning and zoning would capture that there was a job that was open. We met about a month after the time of Steve Hunter announcing his leaving of the position, and at that time I was asked to be the chair of the recruitment committee. We have had initially 6 candidates who were expressed interest in being members of the of being a director. We had a process where we reviewed the job description and looked at what were the key characteristics we were looking for in somebody to be the director. And so we compared those 6 candidates to that, and we narrowed it down to 3 candidates at that time. We also obtained information from Steve Hunter as to 2 individuals who he had had some opportunities to work with, who he thought were well-prepared persons. We reached out to those individuals. One declined to put application in, and the other chose to submit an application. So through the process of interviewing, one of the 3 that was from the original 6 declined to go forward because of salary concerns. That person was already making far in excess of the salary that would be offered. So the other 2 were interviewed, and the person who was recommended by Steve Hunter was interviewed. We then narrowed that down to 2 persons who had a second interview, and from that process, we determined the candidate that we thought was best qualified. So the individual that we have made an offer to is Michaela Jerry, Gerry. She currently serves as the regional land use planner at the Bluegrass Area Development District. She has an education that includes a master's degree in regional planning, environmental and land use planning. She is certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. We created a job offering, salary offering, and benefits offering to her. Her benefits will be the same as those benefits which Mr. Hunter had. She asked only that we would provide some subsidy for her continuing education and to maintain her certification, which we thought would be very helpful, not only to her, but as she could share new information with the commission. So she was made an offer. She accepted the offer by signing a letter that was sent on to her by Henry. And so I am making a motion that we approve her hiring. Any questions?
We have a motion. Do we need a second before we have discussion? I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the search committee for the new director.
Make a motion.
And we have a second. Okay, now, any discussion of the motion?
This is just to clarify, for my benefit, this is to accept the offer, her signature back into our system? Okay.
Mr. Chair, for those people that weren't part of this, I just have to tell you that I was I've been a part of a lot of search committees. I've headed search committees at you know, at the university level, at the government level, and at the federal government level, and I have to tell you, this was just highly professionally done. The search committee itself was conducted professionally. The chair led it very, very professionally. And, you know, I dead serious, I could use this as a model going forth in seminars on leadership development. It's just outstanding, and the public can have high confidence that this was just done the right way.
And
Thank you, Tom.
I certainly concur. I think we had a most able chair of the committee, and cannot thank her enough for her diligence and hard work throughout the entire process. Thank you very much, Commissioner Davenport. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Please. Motion passes unanimously.
I think that it's appropriate at this time, under Personnel Committee, to ask for approval of the expenses for one of our candidates who came for second interview, who came from out of state. We agreed to pay for that individual's travel and overnight expenses. So I would make a motion that we approve that expense.
We have a motion,
Second.
No, go ahead.
second by
Also-
Commissioner Manning. Okay, have a motion.
Do we have an approximate dollar value of what that is? Okay,
Yes.
so it is covered by the existing budget? Okay.
So, motion, second, all in favor of the motion? Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you again. The other new business, we have a refund of filing fees held by Plain Zoning, paid by clients during the moratorium.
I wasn't really sure how to do this, honestly, because I've never had to do refunds before. But we do have two individuals that, even though we were holding their fees for filing, we were unable to pay it at the time it needed to be filed. So they paid out of pocket, and would like to reimburse that out of our account back to them for a full total of $200.
Okay,
Motion.
we need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we refund filing fees held by the PNC for clients that was collected during the moratorium.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Motion passes unanimously. And we will, I want to say to our surveyors in the back row there, we appreciate your patience. We apologize for the inconveniences that were brought upon you, so we appreciate that, and hopefully been able to get everything, get you all back on track. Another announcement that I'd like to make is we have a letter of resignation from one of our members. Vince DiMartino has resigned his position on Plain Zoning. Vince was been on Plain Zoning for quite a long time. He was very active. So he sent a letter to I think, the mayor and myself, and I responded to Vince, and I'd just like to, I guess, put this in the public record, but, so Vince, you have been and will be missed greatly. Thank you for your service and commitment to Plain Zoning and to your community. We wish you the best of luck and health going forward. Your friends and colleagues on the Plain Zoning Commission, and I think we'll give Vince some kind of commemoration of his service to the commission. He will be dearly missed, and we appreciate his service. Any other announcements anyone needs to make? Any other business? At that time, we can exercise, or we can have a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Boyes made a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Sleeve, second. All in favor? Passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.